Hello, everybody. If we can get this stuff working, we of course have Monday Night Raw to review. Oh God. Listen. I'm trying, man. I'm trying my best, man. I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying my patience, man. Like, we finally got somebody that we like. Because over the overhyped oversaturation of a developmental brand, building up minute indie midgets, fat, overrated, irrelevant, disinteresting guys that have no other capacity to build up a crowd other than doing a freaking plancha over the top rope, even though every wrestler can do that. And we got a guy that's cool, charismatic, has great talking ability, great aggression, and he sung his own theme song. What type of stuff like that doesn't? And plus, he can do stuff that freaking ricochet. Well, not entirely ricochet, but it does a flippy diffy stuff too, like doing like spin out power bombs and stuff like that. And you ruined him in his first week in the show. I'm sorry, I'm angry, bro. I'm trying my best, but this is just bad. This was just entirely bad. We had McIntyre getting punched 3 times, and the commentators being like, well, he was withstanding adversity. I mean, taking 3 punches to the head, and then they write him off the freaking pay-per-view. What's he gonna do? Probably just come back out of an ambulance truck and cost probably Randy Orton the match against Keith Lee. Because Keith Lee and Orton's match is nothing to discuss. Because yes, you got to see the abilities of Keith Lee, but other than that, a freaking DQ finish in his opening contest, all because he has a relationship with McIntyre. You don't just overly shove the NXT talent into a top of the line star like Orton that's in a feud with the world champion. And then you're going to devalue the call-up even if he wins or loses. Or the challenger for the world championship. So what you have? You just have it a DQ finish. McIntyre just took a punt kick anyway. With Charlie Caruso doing anything she can, like, gotta get the big scoop, even though people can see it on TV. It's so dumb. Stop with these little interviews. Nobody has to see Charlie Caruso. She's pretty and all. Just understand, not everything has to be interviewed. I understand you took a massive shit, I understand you took a massive crap, McIntyre. I just came out the bathroom, Charlie. What is there to discuss? I'm being really annoyed every time Charlie Caruso just comes with an impromptu, like, I don't need to know Rey Mysterio's heart rate. Dude, I don't care. There's nothing compelling most of the time whenever Charlie Caruso does a disinteresting interview over the wrestler. And even if she does, it's when the wrestler's guard is completely down. The show is completely terrible. Oh my god, I'm feeling like it's 2018 all over again. We had Aleister Black being the KO show for some apparent reason after being out with eye injury. Kudos to Murphy. Even though Murphy always jobs to Aleister Black, then you suddenly randomly turn heel because I'm a jobber. I'm talking to this fat guy. Black Mass, that's it. He got aggravated. He didn't even care that his eye got gouged out. He come out looking like he tore a piece of cloth, even though you can literally buy an eye patch. Other than him thinking he's a badass, even though you just do spin out kicks, multiple tattoos. Listen, I like you and Zelina Vega's channel. Shout out to them, A&Z. Just Jesus Christ, dude. This was dumb. Other than we just need Kevin Owens to just anybody interact with a bad guy, even though Kevin Owens could be the best bad guy you have in the show. It's dumb. It's dumb. There's nothing compelling me over to this feud. Kevin Owens had no memorable feud since being in WWE. And don't you dare try to shove Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens out your ass, because that was off a feud that happened in a different fed. Not just NXT, but in a different fed. That was more overly personal, it's more interesting than this BS this bearded, big tattooed asshole does. It's just very not interesting. We had McIntyre coming around being like, I remember the day when I was fired. Oh, here we go again. He comes out gloating over his victory against Orton saying that he didn't hit you with a Claymore kick to finish up the job. Yes, you escaped Orton in a big pay-per-view. That's lit. Or after the promo, Orton came with a salt punt, kicking him in front of the front on the stage, and then kicking him in the back in the entrance set. So that's a segment because it just comes out of nowhere. It doesn't feel that cool. It was like Shayna Baszler against Bayley. It ended off DQ. And the saddest thing is they had Nia Jax that comes around looking like she's part of she's part of Orange is the New Black. She's the newest lunch lady. She looks terrible. She comes around looking like she's wearing 19-year-old hair. She comes around and Shayna and I are feuding over the fact that they hit personal jabs on each other, especially on the way they look. Especially Shayna. Even though Shayna looks like an ugly Muppet, Nia Jax looks like transgender Umaga. I don't have anything else to say to them, except they both look ugly. So the point of them doing shots at each other conveys itself to the next match, and it was Bayley versus Shayna Baszler. The reason they were wrestling each other, I don't know. Bayley's a SmackDown superstar because she holds the women's tag titles. She's allowed to travel every brand she can. Just die. Just stop. Just stop, man. We had the match, and the match was okay. We had Bayley take up some spots over the match. Nia Jax was just watching over a majority of Sasha trying to interfere. Some basic knee bars. Shayna Baszler was caught outside of the ring until Nia Jax pulled her out, cost a DQ. So when Bayley and Sasha were just leaving, and Nia Jax was like, I'm not going to be told what to do, even though sometimes they'd be told what to do. She just comes out of nowhere. She just turns her attention back to Bayley and Sasha. And I'm just going to skip because I'm not going to go over the rest of the segment. After literally pounding the shit out of Shayna Baszler, she just, because she was told what to do, she just pays her attention to the top heels in the company. Female heels in the company, they suck. And it just boggles my mind that you lied with her just for that apparent reason. And then later on, Shayna slapped the ever-living piss out of you for no apparent reason, other than you disrespected her and you got in the mix of her match. And then it was like, now it's official. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax tagged to face off against the Golden Role Models at Payback this Sunday, after we just had SummerSlam. It's so... Oh, God. And I thought the complaints over for the brand split in individual pay-per-views, at least those were specific pay-per-views for storylines, and they were in different days. Different weeks. So it's at least on that logical standpoint that you had a reason to watch SmackDown, you had a reason to watch Raw. We have both brand pay-per-views. And it's so dumb because we needed both of them. The hype of Roman Reigns coming out into the zero build, other than he's going to face off against the Fiend. The stupidity of everybody just thinking that he's heel, even though the Fiend is heel. It's just so dumb. I'm not trying to get into everybody in the show. It's the lack of patience that I have for this logic, man. It makes no sense. So yes, for the temporary time being, Shayna and Nia Jax, that's been blood feuding, getting in each other's matches, causing each other wins, interfering, even when Nia Jax was, suspended indefinitely. Suspended without pay. She comes around still interfering, even when she was in Raw Underground. And it's like she had to suck up and apologize to Pat Buck, because obviously Nia Jax sitting on Pat Buck's face to get her job, to get back on Raw, gives people D-Day flashbacks. Nobody wants to see that stuff. Aleister Black interviewed Kevin Owens, already went over that garbage. That was terrible. We had a fatal four-way involving Cedric Alexander, R-Truth, Shelton Benjamin, and Akira Tozawa. that shut it up. Ninja Power when he nearly cost it out the ring. We had a couple enziguris. Cedric was trying to take Shelton out the equation, but when a roll-out pin came out of nowhere for R-Truth, Akira Tozawa takes the 24/7 title. Yay. Like the roll-up is the most strongest move in 24/7 title matches. I understand it's supposed to be out of nowhere. Oh my god. It's already crap. The belt's crap. If you're able to win off that, and any other person tries to win the belt, it's terrible. So it's the weakest belt. I understand it's supposed to be for the jobbers, but it's just dumb. And if you have official matches like this, other than to fill up screen time, then you're completely retarded. That's how dumb this match is, and excuse my language, but that's how bad the show is. You're like a billion-dollar corporate entity that's the most biggest wrestling fed ever. So whenever I insult you, it's expected because I have high expectations for a big show that's giving me 3 hours of wrestling content. Like over 10 hours of this in total. You have the majors have their own show. You have semi-indie shows with big budget productions for developmental programming. No one's watching NXT UK. They keep hyping up the factor I'm gonna concern myself with Tommaso Ciampa, the most disinteresting midget with a Braun Strowman beard, come around getting choked out again by Karrion Kross. I'm really interested. Karrion Kross better choke out everybody there. I don't care if he hold it for the same amount of time as Adam Cole or Asuka. I'd rather see that. And he just comes into the roster and just break the belt. I want that to happen because NXT is terrible. We also had Keith Lee appearing and interrupting Randy Orton's promo over punting McIntyre in the head, getting disrespected, blah, blah, blah. Keith Lee came, defending his friend he known for years, do the same thing to him, and basking in the glory, with, of course, Keith Lee having an expansive vocabulary that matches up to his hips. I'm sorry for the terrible fat joke. I like Keith Lee. Really fun. Seems to be a charismatic person. Hopefully he gets treated like this further on in his time here on Raw, because I like the guy. But my God, what did they... It's first night I knew they were going to ruin him. First, they don't make him have this theme song like he had back on NXT. They gave him this dumb gear than just wearing at least showing, he had to wear a shirt. He had regular wrestling trunks. He looked fine back on NXT. Why is he wearing shorts? Why is he wearing this crap? It looks terrible. And he shaved his beard. By God. Looks like Morpheus just came out of the Indies. The match was fine. We had to see some athleticism, good drop kicks. Good counters from the top rope. It looked like just some shocking standpoints that Orton was just getting countered at every turn. And being a legend over Limitless, all that stuff. McIntyre came around just DQing and trying to get payback over Orton. He got punt kicked later, so he's retarded for that in the beginning. He should obviously known, he has a target on his back being world champion. The best thing he had over several months. He's held the belt since April. Never checking his guard. And he's supposed to be this warrior from Scotland. I came from the Indies. And, oh my God, this is the 25th time you're saying this crap. Stop it. It's just... It was so bland and such a lackluster debut for, one of the most hyped up superstars to make it up to the main roster. So, it's just so disappointed. Hopefully, Keith Lee just jobs somebody out or something. Next up, we have this Montez Ford against Angel Garza, as well with an interview involving Zelina Vega, some one chick from something, Bachelor, I guess. And Angel Garza over accusing Zelina Vega. Thinks it was confirmed by video that she sabotaged Montez Ford before their match at SummerSlam. Ends up with a bit of Garza kind of letting it out there that she did do it, and trying to still allure Charlie Caruso, even though it's kind of done for. Like he's with somebody else. It ended up with a bit of a distraction with Ivar, an amazing frog splash off Montez Ford. I'm not discutting their athletic gifts. I think Ford and the I think it's Angelo Dawkins. They're incredibly gifted athletically, and they have exciting matches. They're just super bland. They're just corny. I just hate them. If they had a better realistic gimmick, like as racist and as stereotypical and dumb the concept of Crime Time was, it was a bit realistic. It was funny. It had the same gritty adult humor with their own charm. Things JTG and Shadow made it work, and they were funny. And they were both fun to watch in the ring. And seeing the hot tag with JTG was always fun to watch. Same thing with the Street Profits. The saddest thing is the Crime Time never won the belts. RIP to Shad. Shout out to Kobe Talks About Wrestling. Went up to 100. We also had Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Bianca Belair against Lita Vega and the Iconics. And they literally just walked up out of nowhere. It's like they're the iconic dumbasses. Yeah, and hug Selena, right? Drugging my husband like that. Yes, that's how the promo. Why? Why are I don't understand why the Riot Squad are back. I don't. It's like we had Liv Morgan becoming a singles competitor and people super rooting for her. She comes around wearing her old hairstyle, her old gear, instead of wearing that black leather crap with the choker, and she looks so attractive just keeping her hair long and out without the dumb little pigtails. She actually looked like an individual wrestler, and she had wins. She had beaten Ruby. She tried and all this BS. Why they're tagging together? Even when they tag, Bianca Belair just picks up all the W's. So what's the point of them being a tag if they're not successfully covering their own, holding their own weight? They're just bona fide jobbers. They literally tied together because we can't just get a lot of female jobbers in the show. It was such a bland match. We knew they were gonna win. Selena Vega was there, looking like she's 4'6". And I like Zelina, but Jesus, stay a manager. She did get some good bumps in, good Hurricane Ranas, and Bianca Belair looked really impressive. It just felt like Liv and Ruby were just there. Did some basic selling. Bianca Belair got it done with her finisher. I just wish they do a lot more with Liv. Like try to make her like who's he? He used to be Chris Bay. Try to make her like Chris Bay. Make her not always have ties, or at least make like the Street Profits her lackeys or something. Make sure you make Bianca Belair actually feel like she can back it up in the ring, and she's a massive trash talker. You need personality. You need something like that, or else you're just gonna have just a bland amongst everybody in the women's division. Just their female wrestlers are happy to be here. The women's revolution, man. Even though we always just forcefully put just Becky, Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte in a big pedestal. Well, everybody's just there. That's how bad it is. I want women like this to succeed. I really do. And out of most of this, Bianca Belair is the most potential to me. Next up, we had Apollo Crews. Please, Apollo. Congrats on being U.S. champion. At least you won a belt over 5 years of doing absolutely nothing. So, please lose the belt. You bland, brown M&M head piece of pubes on a face. Get away from me. Dippin' Dots head ass. I am sick and tired of this half a Tootsie Roll holding on to this belt. It's so bland, and I thought the SummerSlam match was going to be Apollo versus Bobby Lashley. They put that in for a payback for the next Sunday. So what's the point of doing MVP against Apollo? There better be no kickoff show. There shouldn't be any kickoff show if they do shit like this again. That shouldn't be allowed if you're going to waste 3 hours of our life again. That shouldn't be allowed. I hate this. You only have a week of build-up. No kickoff show for next week. For this Sunday. I'm begging. The arm wrestle ended up with Mark Henry there. Lashley being like, I don't have to take off his coat, even though he took off his coat. He got stomped in the foot, and he got an immediate loss in an arm wrestling contest. This was off zero build, other than he's still facing off against the Hurt Business. It's dumb. It's dumb. It ended it so quickly with at least, like, the last interesting arm wrestling competition was Scott Steiner versus Triple H, and everybody hated their their match at the Royal Rumble, me included. It was so dumb. It ended up with Lashley, with Apollo knowing that the Hurt Business was coming, sent on them, took in all of them out. It ended up with then Apollo going in, assaulting everybody. Lashley just going in at the Raw Underground and beating Ivar up, beating Dolph Ziggler up. Don't even know why he's there. That's not going to make him more legitimate. He can make sure he's never going to face off against top talents and be taken more seriously if he has to win in a different setting, in a different style, it just doesn't make him more legitimate. It doesn't. You're just a skinny gay loser just beating other fat people, and you can't even beat guys like McIntyre. That doesn't make you legitimate. It doesn't make you a threat. And it's just beating, and he's just treating these guys like ragdolls, like there's a real wrestler beating up guys that are just doing this because they're jobbers. Like, I really have to care that Eric and Ivar, like, call the Viking Raiders, just making War Raiders again, I'm begging you. And they're just stuck in this comedic crap, so they're already taking out the anguish. So Raw Underground just puts them in this imaginary world instead of actually making them part of a major part of the show. There's like no reward for winning a match at Raw Underground. You have Riddick Moss there for no damn reason. Next up, we had Mickie James, or just rip off Lay Cool with Natalya and Lana going over each other with Natalya after literally Lana just said she's the best in-ring wrestler. Natalya just says nothing about her. They go up disrespecting Mickie James and end up with Mickie James coming out and kicking Lana, beating the crap out of Natalya. That's about it. Because they just said her career is nothing, even though she has literally accomplished more than Natalya and Lana. Don't even know why they're feuding with each other for this long. She literally came back a few weeks prior, and she lost her first match back. So this is like, out of no semblance of interest for me. Keith Lee against Randy Orton. I just wish this match was a bit longer. At least bring up to some suspense over Orton nearly like cheating or something, or acting more vicious, pointing at a weak point in Keith Lee. Other than just immediately ending it off DQ, and the match barely even withstand under 10 minutes. Some dropkicks, good deliveries off suplexes of Keith Lee, showing some great athleticism. I just hate the gear. I hate the look. The entrance looks terrible. Lee obviously is better on NXT than he ever was on Raw. Ended up with a DQ. And after that, after an interview off Charlie Caruso, he got assaulted. He took him up by the ambulance after getting punt kicked for the third time in one night. They called off, and it's just official. Orton against Keith Lee at Payback. Oh, I think Shane accidentally shoved the bodyguard that opens the door for Raw Underground by the shoulder. It's official. Payback Shane McMahon versus random black security guard. That's like twice his size. Except we had a Lumberjill match. I think they call it Lumberjack because saying Lumberjill means so do divas. And it's sexist. It's disrespectful. a lumberjack match for a rematch for the Raw Women's titles at SummerSlam. After they had a pretty good match that was quick and more lackluster, because it was a rematch for obviously Sasha that will never be taken seriously probably in a while. And going to the match, it was just that Shayna is technically still feuding with Bayley and Sasha, and plus they have a tag title match. It had a couple kicks. There was a running Meteora, a, a big a big sunset flip powerbomb inside the ring. Bayley came with some cheap shots on Asuka up over outside the match. Asuka came just one-shotting some female heel jobbers that are the lumberjacks, and then it ended off submission off the quick transition Asuka lock. After some really good submissions, Shayna came after Bayley was coming out with a chair. The match ended quickly. So Sasha doesn't look like she'll ever get a shot for the Raw Women's title again. And Bayley and Sasha can just point their attention over to the tag title match. We had also Rey Mysterio, Los Familia. Sorry, I'm too used to that. Rey Mysterio is going to accomplish his dream, tagging with his son for the first time, going side by side with his son Dominic in a tag team match against Seth Rollins and Murphy at the main event. After the promo was nearly 2 minutes long. And I understand it's a personal moment. I mean, not a lot of wrestlers would actually say they ever get to tag with their son or daughter in a match. And that's actually a pretty nice thing. I thought that would be wonderful because I've seen this guy since 2005. So that's pretty emotional, especially for Rey. And if the match was a bit better than their street fight that they had, because Rey Mysterio was there, a bit quicker high spots, a good suplex, some good back and forth with Murphy, and very little minimal botching. I just wish that Dominic could just work on his character. He has a lot of work to do. The guy's young, so he has plenty of time to get some extra stuff in the ring. He should probably go to main events or on NXT or Evolve or something. Just build up more of your charisma in there. And plus, you're still around the WWE bubble, so you have a lot more to work with, and you have a lot more guys around the business. The match was fun. We even had the double 619. So had the frog splash. Nearly ended until Retribution came. These fat midgets. I mean, at least they come with better size than the last couple times. Even some chicks got some cheap shots on Dominic. I mean, some shots down at Dominic when he was on the floor. They were looking at us and they were saying, yeah, I thought they were going to reveal their faces. They should have done this at SummerSlam where you could have had an impact where everybody's watching the show. But no, they do it at an old Rey Mysterio and a young Dominic. Don't know why. Other than they have to make an impact and we have to remember that they're part of the show. Even though there's been more screen time on Roman Reigns replays than there is on Drew McIntyre or Retribution being taken seriously. The show gets a 3 out of 10. It ends in a no contest. No one cares about Retribution. Payback's going to be a mess because of so much stuff having very minimal build. Most hyped call-up getting a no contest finish in the opening over his debut match with very minimal fanfare or build. And you have probably a handicap match with Mickie James or something against Lana and Natalya probably next week on Raw. And the only thing I'm excited for is Lashley to win the U.S. title or something. That's the only thing I'm anticipating over most of that build up to Payback and Pay. And we have rap music to show that our show is trendy and young people are going to watch. No one's going to watch it. What's your build? Fat mask dude holding on to what looks like a freaking toy, and people gave crap into the Divas title. At least it has its own identity. At least people can remember the Divas title. It just looks like a big W with Laffy Tap with raspberry blue Laffy Taffy on it. No one cares. I'm trying, man. I mean, I have more tame and raw reviews. Let's just bring me back to my 2018 self. I was just absolutely livid over the lack of build, the lack of excitement. You just have McIntyre get punt kicked 3 times with any stands of being taken legitimacy, and the build up to Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax over the lack of any source of coexistence, making me take any source of this tag title match with Bayley and Sasha seriously, or piquing my interest in the slightest. Well, I just want to see Roman just win the Universal title because both the Fiend and Braun are a joke to me. Lashley hold the U.S. title because the U.S. title is irrelevant in this thing. Just MVP is saying, just trying to peek at a jobber midget like Cedric Alexander. Is like, how's it feel just tagging with a guy that's called the one and only? Yeah, the man who fingers his butthole and completely irrelevant with no promo ability or any fanfare. Obviously, I totally mind getting overshadowed by him. Like, obviously, everybody loves Ricochet. Jesus Christ. And it just makes Keith Lee feels like a source of an afterthought, even though he immediately gets a pay-per-view match. In the source of this, how you think fans are going to feel, especially young fans, or fans going into the product or new to the product, like, oh, I didn't watch SummerSlam. What are you talking about? There's another pay-per-view next week. Oh, dude, what? That's borderline brain dead. That's Asperger's worthy. This is dumb. If you think Raw was good for you because you saw Dominic tag with Rey Mysterio, you saw one decent match in the show, or you're just a major fan of Keith Lee, by all means, call it whatever you like. It's my opinion. I'm just one guy on the internet with a freaking small channel. My opinion means nothing but to myself. Thanks for watching. That's it from me. Thanks for watching the DST show. Congrats to Kobe Talks Wrestling for hitting 100. Love that guy. But, that's it coming from me. Jesus.